A thing that really stuck out to me the first time I saw it, and the thing that sticks out to me even now, like rewatching it so many years later, is this is very much a Terry Gilliam movie. I mean, Terry Gilliam is one of those directors where there's no question as to whether or not you're watching a Terry Gilliam film. This guy likes weird shit. He's a very visual director. He's a guy who's not really interested in anything that's naturalistic. He's not into subtlety or nuance. He's a very surreal filmmaker. Everything is kind of on this strange and heightened level. Mm-hmm. You know, a lot of stuff with wide angle lens shots and Dutch angles or crangles, as we mentioned in the Battlefield Earth episode. But this guy in particular is a lot of it. I mean, the movies that he's directed are things like Brazil, Fisher King, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. He's a guy who likes to have stories. He did
the Monty Python movies.
He did. Yeah, he did Holy Grail. I think he did Life of Brian, or Meaning of Life. Gilliam's just a guy who really likes to do a lot of visual stuff with his storytelling. And I think that he picks movies that are told from the perspective of somebody who's a psycho or somebody who has mental illness, like for the Fisher King, or somebody who's on drugs, like for Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. Because built into the story, if you're telling it through that perspective, built into the story are all these ways that you can visually manipulate and do crazy things with your camera angles and with everything because of the characters that the story is being told through. Mm-hmm. As a visual director, as a guy who's kind of into weird shit, and as a guy who's into really crazy visuals and being able to make those visuals make sense within the context of the story.
Yeah, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
Other than this, that you could argue too is one of the most Terry Gilliamist, movies he's ever made, because it's just pure adrenaline and pure lunacy, and pure visual. It's everything is like on the screen. There's nothing that he's hiding. He's not trying to do naturalism. He's not trying to do subtlety and depth. He's trying to almost make things big and caricatures for the sake of telling the story. So this is a movie where the story itself lends itself very well to, I think, the style of the filmmaker. Mm-hmm. I don't know if this would be a movie that's better served or better told by somebody who's trying to do something more subdued or more grounded. Like if Chris Nolan made
Absolutely
this movie,
not.
I don't know if it would be as good as what Terry Gilliam is doing with it, as broad and kind of wild as he's making it. So,
well, I think that a movie like this movie, or other ones that you've mentioned that Terry Gilliam has done, like Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas as another example, I would think that in the hands of another director, it would definitely lose something, because you can tell that Terry Gilliam must be the kind of director that is all about using cinematography as a means to convey the psychological and emotional state of the characters in the movie. And usually a lot of times it might be because of the influence of psychosis or drugs or whatever it is that's altering the mental state. But nonetheless, people that have been drunk or been high or whatever can tell you that this is kind of a swirly, spinny, loopy, hallucinogenic, all these things. So it's like using the visual medium to convey what it feels like to be the main characters in these stories. It's only aided by having him.
And I think he seeks out those types of stories. I think the movies that he likes to make are told through, almost the way that, like, if you think of a Tim Burton movie, like the protagonist is always
a little disturbed,
an outcast, or I think he kind of looks for characters with a skewed view of the world so that he can tell the stories through that skewed view. Mm-hmm. I think that's what he's really drawn to as a filmmaker. So this is kind of like the apex of that, like the top of the mountain for him, getting this character who, the whole movie is being pulled back through time and space, and at certain points of the movie has to question his own sanity. And if the more and more that you can play with that idea, I think it gives him more and more opportunities to do these really, really bizarre visual things that he does in the movie, which make it really fun to watch.
Yeah.